Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're looking at crafting. Now this isn't specifically crafting in World of Warcraft, although we are going to discuss it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to look at the evolution of crafting throughout the expansions, or should I say devolutions. Probably devolutions makes a lot more sense. But we're going to look at New World. So New World's coming out in, well, the closed beta is coming out in just under a week. And I'm super excited for it because it's something new, it's something fresh, it's a completely different style of combat. But the crafting and the housing system, now they're two things that I absolutely love in MMOs, and you never really get full satisfaction out of them in World of Warcraft. Well, the reason you don't get full satisfaction is because A, it doesn't have housing, B, the garrison system in Warlords of Draenor was maybe an attempt, you could call it, at player housing, a failed attempt. And C, the crafting system has always been fairly basic. I was going to say it's been rubbish, but actually the older iterations of crafting, where crafting actually mattered, like right now in Classic TBC, where the crafting does matter, at least the crafting's a little bit more interesting. But the actual way you craft, the leveling system of crafting, so just going from 1 to 300, then 300 to 375, or you know, and then onwards into Wrath, etc. It's quite boring. Now, I like what New World are doing, and I think it looks mega interesting, and I want to have a dive into that, and then talk about the different systems, even from other games. So we might have a little look at Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars The Old Republic, and look at how crafting needs some attention in these games. And New World are doing it absolutely right. They're not going for a generic crafting system, quite a bit of RNG involved. So let's dive in and let's have a look. But first, just a quick minute from the sponsor of today's video. This video is sponsored by Exeter, who make world-class smart wallets and smart card holders which utilise tracker cards. Now, you may have lost your wallet in the past, but you'll never lose it again. But not only will you not lose your wallet, you won't be able to lose your phone either. It's slim with quick card access and a removable cash strap. The built-in aluminium card holder fans out your cards at the click of a button and protects them against skimming. It has RFID blocking technology. It has a section on the back of the wallet where you can insert the tracker card, which, by the way, requires no batteries because it's solar powered. If you're just about to head out and you can't find your phone but you can find your wallet, you can use your smart card device to be able to call your phone, and vice versa. If you can't find your wallet but you've got your phone, you can call your wallet from your phone. Not only that, you can see where it is if you happen to have left it somewhere else and quickly go and retrieve it. There's affiliate links in the description which I would highly recommend using if you want to pick yourself up one of these. So crafting throughout the years has always been something that a large majority of players in the MMO scene enjoy doing, and some games have done it right, some games have done it but it's been acceptable, but I'm not going to say right, and then others have tried wacky things. Let's start with World of Warcraft. It's a fairly basic system. You go out, so let's say you're an alchemist. You go out, you get some herbs. You might need to get 2 of one herb, 1 of another. You get a crystal vial or a leaded vial or whatever you get from a vendor, so a vendor item, and then you just press create and it creates this potion or flask. Now, TBC made it a bit more interesting, adding masteries. Mainly this really applies to alchemy, actually more than anything else, and I think they could have actually expanded on this back in the day. I'm not saying it's something they would do for Classic or even consider doing, but if you think about the potion master, the elixir master, and the transmute master, it's just something a little bit more interesting. So when you're an elixir master, just in case you're here for the New World title, because we are going to get into New World, but if you haven't played World of Warcraft in TBC or even Wrath, when you've got the elixir master, you've got a chance when you're crafting to proc extra of that flask. So that adds a little bit of RNG, little bit excitement to crafting. They obviously added in tailoring where you've got the free specializations. Whatever one you're specialized in, you're guaranteed an extra cloth. Not too bad, still a little bit boring. I think alchemy is about the place during TBC and Wrath where they actually got professions right. And if they'd have gave that sort of love to some of the other professions, they'd have probably landed on a system very close to New World. And looking at the crafting system, so how it sort of works is there's different material rarity. I'll give it a direct comparison to World of Warcraft. Imagine that you could get copper ore, but you could get uncommon, you know, common, rare, epic, legendary of copper ore, and you could get different tiers of it. So copper ore would be used to make a copper sword, but depending on what materials you use depends on the quality of the outcome of the sword. Two people with different mats of different qualities can make the same item and them both come out different. That's brilliant, don't get me wrong. But when you look at this, it shows you a range. So it shows you like a damage range. Two people could use exactly the same materials and end up with a different result. Now that is an RNG crafting system which I like, and it takes me back a little bit to Star Wars Galaxies. If you've ever done crafting in Star Wars Galaxies, it was very, very intricate. Even the gathering was intricate because it weren't just you run around and you pick flowers up, or you run around and you extract gas or anything like that. You actually had to use harvesters. You put harvesters down, they harvested the stuff that you wanted. You would have to keep it topped up with credits or gold or whatever however you want to call it, and actual power to keep it running, and you would just go around and empty your harvesters each day. But that was because it was dynamic. The way the materials would spawn, you would have to find the best spawns. So I'm not saying this is what New World's going to be like. Obviously it's not going to be that involved. You could potentially in the month of June have no real good harvestable mats spawning, but then in July you could have the best one that the server's ever seen, and then you might never ever see it again. So that particular material held its cost and got more expensive the more time that passed from that month that it was actually harvestable. And there was a whole website just literally dedicated to looking at all the statistics on all of the crafting materials that you needed, where you could get them from, and how long ago they expired, and things like that. Really, really intricate, interesting crafting system. But the main thing about it was the fact that you could get critical successes, you could get critical failures. So basically, if you got a critical success, it would be a better item. The damage range would come out better, or the armor would come out better than if you just got a success. And if you had bonuses to your weaponsmithing, for example, you would have a higher chance of getting that critical success. And also, depending on what type of city you was in, so if you was in like a very crafting orientated city, you would also get a bonus to a critical success. Now that's great, but that game's like over 20 years old, and don't get me wrong, 20 years old, but still absolutely amazing to this day, even though it only exists on emulated software, emulated sites. But it's still, the crafting system, for me, there's been nothing like it. They tried something different in Star Wars The Old Republic, and I don't want to just talk about Star Wars games, but that was quite interesting on the basis that you didn't physically have to go out and gather materials. You could, but you sent your pets, your companions, whatever you want to call them, out on missions to go and get materials. Or if you clicked on a material out in the open world, you could carry on killing something while they ran over and sort of mined it or herbed it or gathered it for you, which again was interesting. And the same goes for the crafting. You could run around questing while you send your companion off to do loads of crafting for you. It was still fairly boring because it was pretty much exactly the same as well. Go out and get 2 of this, 1 of that, put them together, but instead of you crafting it, your pet crafted it. But they still tried something different. I think WoW should probably, over the period of time, they should have evolved their crafting, not devolved it. They made crafting to the point when I was playing retail where it wasn't even necessary. I went back during Shadowlands and was like, guys, I've not played for ages, what profession should I be? And they were like, it doesn't matter. Professions literally became just optional, an optional part of the game. They weren't required, which is a bit sad to see when they could have evolved for over the 15, 17 years, whatever it's been. They could have took the basic of WoW Classic or Vanilla. They started building on it in TBC by making alchemy more interesting. They could have then expanded out to the other classes where if you craft a leather chest and it's got 4 agility on, no, it can have 4 to 7 agility, 4 to 6 stamina, and depending on how lucky you are with the proc, that way you might have to make 10 of them before you get the one you want. And it just makes that one really good proc where it procs and you get something good, it makes it more lucrative if you put it on the auction house as well. Now, if you didn't know, it's got player housing in New World as well. Now, I appreciate I've not really spent that much time talking about New World, but in New World, you've got player housing, so crafting even plays a big part there because you can make furniture, or you can make furniture for your friends' houses and stuff like that. And the housing system's really interesting, actually, because depending on how good your house is, there's a ranking system for houses. So if you've got a really cool house, it will show up and people can go in and have a look round and it will say you're the leader of the house. I don't know how that really works, but I'd assume like the quality of the furniture you've got, and I don't know, the time will tell. We'll find that out next week. But anything with a housing system is great, but the fact that crafting also plays into that is incredible. So there's actually 7 crafting professions in New World. So you've got weaponsmith, which, as you can imagine, crafts weapons. You've got armorsmith, which, as you can imagine, crafts armor. You've got jewel crafters, which create trinkets, going to be gems and stuff like that that you can insert into weapons. You've got engineers that craft like range weapons, ammunition, stuff like that. You've got arcanists, which create like magical weapons, potions, other things like that. Obviously cooks, food and drink, fairly straightforward, as you would expect to cook. And then furnishers, which can craft, you know, trophies for your house, boxes for your house to store stuff in, furniture, just general stuff to go in your house. The interesting thing as well is you create more the higher your skill. So let's say you're a alchemist, well, arcanist, but we'll say, you know, compare it to WoW, alchemist. If you're low level and you create a low level potion, you will create and you'll get 1. If you was a higher level alchemist or arcanist, we'll call it arcanist because that's what it is. If you're a higher level, you might get 2, you might get 3. So the higher your skill also dictates the amount of actual, you know, final crafts that you get when you're crafting for your profession, which is quite interesting. But like I said about jewel crafting being able to make gems, the other good thing where this ties into crafting is as you get a higher level crafting skill, you've got more chance when you craft. Let's say you're crafting a bow. You're crafting a bow, you've got a higher chance of that bow having a socket or having a perk, because, you know, these weapons get like procs basically. You know, it might be 20% damage from fire abilities, or it might give you, you know, a 20% chance when you attack something to, you know what a general proc or perk is like on a weapon. And the higher your skill in that crafting proficiency, then the more chance you have of getting these gems proc, gem slots proc, or these perks proc. And the great thing is they're keeping crafting extremely relevant. I mean, they actually said from the start that crafting will be a primary role throughout the entire, it will play a pivotal part of the entire game. And what I'm getting really when it comes to, you know, crafted versus looted items from bosses or from mobs, is that crafting generally is as good, if not a little bit better, depending on the crafter's skill, of course, and depending on what gems, etc. you put into it. And it does actually give you some reason to spend time in the city as well. And this was, again, just blast from the past, going back to Star Wars Galaxies. You could craft out in the open world if you wanted to, on some items, not all items, but there was specific crafting stations, but you would get bonuses depending on that crafting station. And it looks like they're going down quite a similar route in New World, where actually the crafting stations in the cities level up. So as the crafting stations get better, using these better crafting stations will enable you to get better results from your crafts. So just quite interesting. Overall, I think the crafting system for New World looks amazing. It's a shame we've never had something that looks this good that's not even out yet in World of Warcraft. And as I say, I mean, Star Wars Galaxies, I've spoke about enough. Crafting system there was absolutely phenomenal. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.